Buzak Chini, the goat who refused to be broken. Once in a valley ringed by mountains, where the winter snow slept on the peaks even in summer, there lived a white goat named Buzak Chini. Her coat shone like fresh milk under the morning sun, and her horns curved proudly like two small moons. She was not the strongest creature in the valley, nor the loudest, but everyone knew she had a heart that did not tremble easily. Buzak Chini had 3 little kids: Algag, the careful one; Bulgag, the brave one; and Chulgag, the youngest, soft-hearted and curious. They lived in a small clay house at the edge of the village, where the wind carried the sound of the dambura from faraway gatherings, and where every evening their mother would bring them milk, warm bread, and stories. But beyond the village paths, behind the black rocks and thorn bushes, there lived a wolf. He was not merely hungry. Hunger can be honest. This wolf was cunning. He watched doors. He listened to mothers. He remembered names. And when he smiled, even the shadows seemed to step back. One day, Buzak Chini tied her scarf beneath her chin and prepared to go out for grass and grain. "My children," she said, lowering her face so they could see the seriousness in her eyes, "do not open the door for anyone. Not for a sweet voice, not for a sad story, not for a promise. The world has kindness in it, yes, but it also has teeth." Algag nodded at once. Bulgag puffed out his little chest. Chulgag blinked and asked, "But how will we know it is you?" Buzak Chini smiled and sang softly, "My Algag, my Bulgag, my little Chulgag, open the door, your mother has come. Only when you hear that," she said, "and only when the voice is truly mine." Then she kissed them one by one and left. The wolf had been listening from behind a crooked mulberry tree. He waited until Buzak Chini disappeared over the hill. Then he crept to the little clay house and knocked. Tap, tap, tap. Inside, the 3 kids froze. "Who is there?" asked Algag. The wolf pressed his mouth close to the door and tried to sing. "My Algag, my Bulgag, my little Chulgag, open the door, your mother has come." But his voice was rough, full of gravel and darkness. "That is not our mother," said Algag. "Go away," shouted Bulgag. The wolf narrowed his eyes. "Clever little bones," he muttered. He went to the stream and swallowed honey to soften his voice. He rolled his throat in warm mud. He practiced beneath the tree until even the birds stopped singing, confused by the sweetness that came from such a cruel mouth. Then he returned. Tap, tap, tap. Again he sang, this time gently, almost beautifully. "My Algag, my Bulgag, my little Chulgag, open the door, your mother has come." Algag frowned. Bulgag stepped closer to the window. Chulgag's eyes brightened. "It sounds like her," whispered Chulgag. "But it feels wrong," said Algag. The wolf sighed loudly outside. "My children, I am tired. My feet hurt. The sun is hot. Open the door." Chulgag's heart began to ache. He was young, and young hearts often mistake pity for wisdom. He lifted the wooden latch. The door opened. In rushed the wolf. The house filled with screams, dust, and terror. Algag tried to hide behind a basket. Bulgag kicked and bit. Chulgag ran toward the oven and squeezed himself inside the cold clay mouth of it. The wolf swallowed Algag. He swallowed Bulgag. He searched the room, sniffing every corner, but Chulgag stayed silent in the oven, trembling so hard that ashes danced around his nose. At last the wolf licked his lips and left, heavy with his crime. When Buzak Chini returned, the valley had become strangely quiet. The door hung open. The bowls were broken. The floor was scratched. "My children?" she called. No answer. "My Algag, my Bulgag, my little Chulgag?" From inside the oven came a small cry. Chulgag crawled out, gray with ash, and threw himself into his mother's legs. Between sobs, he told her everything. The false song, the sweetened voice, the open door, the wolf. For a moment, Buzak Chini did not move. Then something changed in her face. Grief entered her, but it did not drown her. Fear came close, but she did not bow to it. Her tears fell, yes, but her eyes became sharp as winter stars. "My children are not gone," she said. "They are stolen. And what is stolen can be taken back." She went straight to the blacksmith. The blacksmith was an old man with hands darkened by fire and a face lined by years of listening. When Buzak Chini told him what had happened, he did not laugh at her. He did not say, "You are only a goat." He looked at her horns and understood. "Make them sharp," she said. The blacksmith placed her horns against the stone and worked until sparks flew like angry fireflies. He sharpened them until they could cut shadow from stone. "Go carefully," he warned. "I will go as a mother," she replied. "There is nothing more careful and nothing more dangerous." The wolf also heard that Buzak Chini was preparing for battle. Proud and foolish, he hurried to the same blacksmith. "Sharpen my teeth," said the wolf. "Tomorrow I will tear that goat apart." The blacksmith looked at him, then at the bits of wool still caught between his teeth. He smiled quietly. "Of course," he said. But instead of sharpening the wolf's teeth, he rubbed them with soft cotton and filed them dull. The wolf, admiring himself in a bucket of water, did not notice. Vanity can blind even sharper eyes than his. The next morning, all the valley seemed to hold its breath. Buzak Chini stood in the open field. The wolf came from the rocks, laughing. "Little goat," he said, "you should have stayed home." Buzak Chini lowered her horns. "You should have stayed away from my children." The wolf leapt first. She turned aside, quick as a mountain wind, and struck him in the ribs. He rolled across the dust, shocked. He rose again, snarling, and lunged for her throat. But his teeth, once feared, slipped uselessly against her coat. Again she struck. Once for the door he had tricked open, once for Algag, once for Bulgag, once for the fear he had planted in Cholgag's heart. The wolf staggered. "Enough!" he cried. "No," said Buzak Chini. "Return what you took." The wolf coughed. He groaned. He shook like a rotten tree in a storm. And at last, from his belly, out came Algag and Bulgag, frightened, dirty, but alive. Buzak Chini gathered all three of her children beneath her. The wolf crawled away, no longer singing, no longer smiling. As the sun lowered behind the mountains, Buzak Chini led her children home. Cholgag held the latch. Bulgag kept watch. Algag walked beside his mother, quiet and thoughtful. That night, the little clay house glowed with lamplight again. Buzak Chini did not tell her children that the world was safe. She loved them too much to lie. Instead, she told them the truth. There are wolves who borrow the voices of those we love. There are doors that must stay closed. But remember this also. When evil enters the house, we do not become helpless forever. We learn, we rise, we sharpen our horns, and we bring back what belongs to us. And from that day on, whenever the wind moved through the valley, mothers told their children the story of Buzak Chini, the goat who grieved, the goat who fought, and the goat who refused to let the wolf have the final word.